My father didn't just betray me, he sold me to pay off his gambling debt. He didn't hesitate, didn't even look ashamed. I was 17. Rachel helped him dress me up for Olaf's dinner, her lipstick smile hiding the handcuffs. The hallway mirror reflected it all. I never touched that table again. Olaf's trial begins today, and my father won't see daylight for 12 years. When I was 9, Dad taught me poker using jelly beans. I thought it was our secret thing. He'd ruffle my hair every time I called his bluff. The garage reeked of smoke and cheap whiskey. But I didn't care, it meant he was home. One night, Olaf walked in during our game. Dad laughed and offered him a seat. I remember Olaf's eyes too sharp for someone smiling. I wore my favorite blue dress that Sunday. Rachel brought cupcakes and told me I looked pretty enough for a princess. Olaf was there again watching. He said I'd make someone very happy one day. I was only 10. Dad just chuckled, said I was growing up fast. That night, I hid under my blanket. The dress crumpled beside me. The cupcake tasted like sawdust. At 15, I found cash stashed under Dad's floorboards, wads wrapped in rubber bands. He caught me and slapped the bills from my hand. Eyes wild. That's not yours, he hissed. Later, I overheard him on the phone with Olaf. She's almost ready. My stomach twisted. Aunt Rachel brought me new heels the next day, said they'd fit perfectly for the party. My room suddenly felt like a cell. Rachel whispered in my ear during dinner. You'll thank us one day. Olaf raised his glass, eyes fixed on me. Dad made a joke about dowries, my fingers clenched under the table. Later that night, I asked Brian, my uncle, about Olaf. He went pale, muttered something about debt. He said nothing more. When I asked again, he warned me to stay quiet. That silence was louder than any answer. I tried sneaking out once just to breathe. Rachel caught me by the porch, her nails digging into my arm. You don't want to upset Olaf, she warned, voice sugar sweet. I cried in the shower that night, water too hot, skin too red. The next morning there was a new necklace on my pillow from Olaf, Dad said, a sign of commitment. My tears fell faster than the faucet. Brian slipped me a prepaid phone during one of Rachel's shopping trips. Don't trust anyone, he whispered, especially Rachel. My hands shook as I hid it inside a book spine. That night, Olaf's men came by, routine check they said. Olaf wasn't even pretending anymore. I pressed the book tighter to my chest. Rachel handed me a nightgun lace read wrong. Tomorrow's a big day, she smiled. I used Brian's phone to text Officer Clark, typing fast under my blanket. Rachel's voice outside my door, soft, sinister, froze me. He wants you ready. I jammed the lock and clutched Mom's old locket. The mirror showed a girl I didn't recognize. When I pressed send, it felt like dropping a bomb. I knew they'd find out, but I had no choice left. Rachel barged in, phone in hand. You little snake, she spat. She yanked my hair, dragging me down the hallway. Olaf stood at the bottom of the stairs, coat in hand, eyes blazing. We're leaving now. I kicked free and ran barefoot, heart pounding. The front door slammed shut behind me. Brian's car headlights cut through the dark like hope. Brian peeled out of the driveway, tires screaming. I curled in the seat, sobbing. They can't follow, he promised. My phone buzzed. Officer Clark, get her to station 6 now. We turned down Main, headlights behind us, Olaf's car, he was chasing us. I gripped the locket and prayed. Brian reached for the glove box. Just hold on, Arya. I won't let them win. We hit the intersection, red light. Olaf's SUV rammed us from behind. My head smacked the window. Brian yelled, swerved, ran it. Sirens wailed from the distance. Olaf tried again but skidded. We turned onto 5th. Police cruisers cut him off. Brian's hands trembled on the wheel. I couldn't speak, just held the locket. You're safe now, he whispered, pulling into the station lot. Inside the station, Clark looked furious. Why didn't you call earlier? I could barely form words. She ushered me into a back room. Brian stayed outside. I sat shivering. Clark handed me tea, then dropped the bomb. Rachel filed a missing persons report on you 2 hours ago. My jaw dropped. She said you were unstable, possibly suicidal. The trap was deeper than I thought. My voice finally came. She's lying? Clark narrowed her eyes. We're pulling her records now, but Olaf's denying everything. Says you ran off. I showed her the necklace, the bruises. There's more to, I whispered, handing over Brian's flash drive. Photos, voice memos, contracts. Clark's expression changed. This changes everything. She left the room. I sat there breathing hard, the tea burn going down, but my hands stopped shaking. I wasn't just surviving, I was fighting back. Olaf was arrested in the parking lot trying to flee. Brian watched from the blinds. They got him, he said. I peeked, handcuffs, flashing lights. Rachel screamed at the officers, claiming innocence. Clark escorted her inside. She's next. My breath caught. I wanted to cheer, to cry, but all I did was nod. This wasn't over, but the news had snapped. I wasn't either puppet anymore, and the world was finally watching. Rachel tried turning on Dad, claiming he orchestrated it all. Dad, already in custody for fraud, threw her under the bus. The investigators pounced. I watched it unfold through glass, their stories crumbling. Clark turned to me. Your statement will finish this. I nodded, voice calm. Then let's finish it. Brian gripped my shoulder. The girl in the hallway mirror was gone. This one held her head high and spoke without fear. Testifying wasn't easy. Olaf glared from the defense table. Rachel sobbed fake tears. Dad stared blankly, like I was a stranger. But I spoke clearly, every ugly truth, every scar, every betrayal. The jury listened. The court was silent when I finished. Clark gave me a proud nod. I stepped down, legs shaking but heart solid. Outside, reporters swarmed. I walked past them all. My story belonged to me now. The verdict came in guilty. Olaf 15 years, Rachel 10, Dad 12. I sat with Brian and Sarah Chen, my lawyer, as the judge read the sentences. Relief didn't come in tears, it came in silence. A heavy, peaceful kind. Rachel glared at me, but I didn't flinch. Olaf muttered something in Russian. Didn't matter. I stood and walked out, sunlight hitting my face for the first time in what felt like years. Days later, I opened a box of Mom's things inside. A journal, pages filled with poetry, letters to me. You're strong, stronger than me, she'd written. I clutched it, tears finally falling. I hadn't cried in the courtroom, hadn't cried in months. But now, in Brian's quiet guest room, I let it all go. The locket hung on the doorknob, gleaming in sunlight. It didn't haunt me anymore, it honored her. Brian took me to a support group for survivors. I didn't speak at first, just listened, faces different from mine, but stories that echoed. One woman held my hand during a break. You're safe now. Her voice cracked. I nodded. Clark checked in weekly. Sarah Chin said a nonprofit wanted to publish my story. I wasn't ready, but maybe soon. For now, I journaled. For myself. For the girl who survived. I visited the courthouse steps one morning. Empty, quiet. I sat where I'd once trembled, held my locket, and closed my eyes. I whispered, I'm still here. It wasn't victory I felt, it was survival. Awe and pulsing. A security guard nodded at me. Recognition maybe, or respect. Either way, I stood up taller. Walked back down those steps. Head high. I didn't need applause, I just needed air, and I had plenty. Sarah handed me a folder. Civil suit, she said. You can claim damages. The numbers inside made my head spin. Payne had a $sign now. We'll go after Olaf's assets, Rachel's shares. Your dad's trust. I didn't care about the money, but the idea of them paying for what they'd done, that mattered. I signed my name. It was shaky, but it was mine. No one else this time. Rachel wrote me from prison. 3 pages of apologies, excuses, twisted love. We did what we had to, she wrote. I burned the letter without finishing. Some chains don't rust, they melt in fire. I told Sarah I didn't want contact with any of them. She nodded. Clark offered to block future mail. You're in control now, she said. I smiled for the first time in weeks. And meant it. I walked past the hallway table one last time that still stood, polished and silent. But the reflection it offered no longer haunted me. I placed the locket on its surface. She's free, I whispered. Not to the table, to the memory. Brian hugged me at the door. Ready, he asked. I was. The car held boxes. New apartment, new school, new life. The past wasn't erased, but it was behind me. The first day of community college. I wore a sweatshirt not to hide, but to feel warm. No makeup, no heels, just me. A girl named Leela asked to share her notes. Later we got coffee. She didn't ask about my past. I didn't offer. We laughed about overpriced muffins. It felt normal. It felt earned. The world didn't owe me peace, but I was taking it anyway, one smile at a time. My professor asked if anyone had life experience worth writing about. I laughed quietly. Later, I submitted my first essay, fiction technically, but every line held truth. She handed it back with a smile. That hit hard, she said. You should submit it to the journal. I nodded. Heart pounding. Maybe I'd let the world read my story. But for now, this page was mine. And that was more than enough. I still have bad dreams, Olaf's voice, Rachel's touch, but I wake up in a safe bed. I light a candle each morning for Mom. Her journal sits by my desk, a symbol of strength. I write in it sometimes. Not poems, plans. The girl they tried to break isn't gone. She's here, louder, smarter, fiercer, and she knows exactly who she is. Some days, I walk by the shelter and think about volunteering. I haven't yet, but I smile at the girls outside, really smile. Maybe one day I'll speak there. For now, I let kindness be my rebellion. I used to be property. Now I choose who I am. That choice feels heavier than chains ever did, and way more powerful. I framed a copy of my testimony. It hangs above my desk, not as a reminder of pain but proof I stood tall. Sarah joked that I looked like a lawyer up there. Who knows, maybe one day. Brian says I've got fire in me. He's right. They wanted to erase me. Instead, I became something unforgettable. That's the legacy I'm building now. The final letter from Dad came last week. I didn't open it. I returned it, marked refused. Sarah said that sent a message. I said exactly. I don't need closure from monsters. I found my peace in survival, in writing, in laughter with new friends, in waking up safe. That's all the closure I'll ever need. And I earned every bit of it. Olaf's appeal failed. Rachel lost her pension. Dad's trust was seized. Justice didn't erase what happened, but it balanced the scales. Sarah hugged me outside the courthouse. Brian cried. I didn't. I just stood there feeling the wind on my face. It was over. Forgotten, but over. And I was finally, truly, undeniably free. That's what mattered now. I applied to an internship with Sarah's firm. She said they need voices like mine. When I walked into the office, past rows of lawyers and survivors, something clicked. I wasn't broken, I was built. Piece by painful piece. The receptionist smiled. Welcome, Arya, I nodded. Calm and steady. My story wasn't a tragedy anymore. It was a weapon, and I knew how to use it. At a campus event, I shared part of my story just enough. A girl in the crowd nodded, eyes glassy. Afterward, she whispered, me too. I hugged her tight. That moment, it wasn't about pain, it was about power, shared survival. A ripple of strength passed between us. I left with a full heart. Maybe healing starts with 2 words, me too.